Welcome back to KORTX's Empowering Transformative Growth series. In each episode, we pull back the curtain and give you an exclusive look at the talented individuals behind KORTX, delving deep into their stories, experiences, and the unique contributions they bring to our team. It's our way of showcasing the brilliant minds that drive our commitment to delivering innovative solutions and ultimately empowering transformative growth for our clients and partners. So without further ado, let's dive into today's conversation with KORTX's Director of Account Management, Jess Ostrom. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. Well, we're really excited to have you on this Empowering Transformative Growth series episode. I'd love to just hear a little bit more about your journey. I know you are not an original Michigan resident and you came by way of California, but would love just to hear a little bit about your story, what got you to Michigan, your education, anything you want to share with us.
So yeah, I'm not from Michigan originally. I came out here for college, went to Michigan State. I chose Michigan State primarily because I do have family from Michigan. My dad's originally he's a Michigan native too. He's actually a U of M fan. So my whole plan in life growing up was to go to U of M. But once I got a tour of both campuses, and at the time, my major was, I love animals. See my dog behind me. Love animals. At the time, my major was going to be zoology, and U of M didn't even offer a zoology program, so I chose Michigan State instead because they were known for it. Changed my major about half a semester in, just realizing that looking at different career paths with zoology, I was like, I need to focus on something that might be a little more dynamic and not focus on just one single career path. So that's why I went into advertising. I think of MSU as a huge part of who I am. I often think of the ripple effect of choosing to go there. Like, had I not chosen to go there, I wouldn't have met my now husband, wouldn't be living in Michigan now had I not chosen to go there. I had no intention of living here after college. So I think of that choice as like my pivotal choice in my whole life.
I'm very thankful for Michigan State and obviously you being here at KORTX. I got to say, I didn't know some information about you that when looking at your LinkedIn profile last night. So as an attendee of Burbank High School, you were the girls basketball team captain. You were also the drum major. You were in the American Sign Language Club, and you also played an instrument. How did you balance all that?
I cannot believe, first of all, I have that on my LinkedIn. I didn't realize I still had that on my LinkedIn.
It's amazing, by the way. I'm really glad you do.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. In high school, I was just really involved. I always had to stay busy. My dad, I grew up with a single father. He would work like 18-hour days most days, single father raising 3 kids. So I ended up spending a lot of time just doing stuff involved with the school. And that's kind of how I fell into like all the different programs. Basketball was my sport. Loved playing basketball. And senior year became captain. And then for band, I was also a band geek. And I just loved everything. I love the idea of being able to read music, and it's a whole nother language. I play flute and also sax. I still have my flute, but I have not picked it up in several years. Also, I'll caveat all that there. But I don't know. I liked being busy. Being busy just kept me going.
You're like one of the best I know at multitasking, and now it's all making sense. You are also a mom, and you have a very, very busy day job. You also have more important priorities at home, focusing on kids and just being a family person. How do you balance the two?
Oh gosh. I mean, first of all, what is balance? I mean, just kidding. Honestly, I think having the flexibility is key to having that balance. You have to have the flexibility in order to create that balance. It's crucial. And I think, the KORTX, it's been huge in empowering myself and all of its employees in achieving that balance.
I know you're one that you are extremely passionate about your work and your customers and making sure that your team also has everything that they need, but you've been amazing. I think you're a role model for a lot of people in the company, others that are aspiring to be a working professional and balance both family and the life of being in office or attending to customer and team needs. So when you think about the way you're a role model to many folks, I know you are because they tell that to me. When you think about your life, were there any major role models that stick out that you'd mind talking to us about?
I'd say, I kind of mentioned him already, but my dad, I think I actually get my work ethic from him. He was a single father raising 3 kids by himself and would have to work, like I said, or 18-hour days sometimes. I think because he had to work so often and he tried so hard for his family, because he was working so often, my siblings and I, we kind of became fairly independent at a young age, which I think fueled kind of a bit of who I am today. Also, just from like a role model perspective on like outlook on life, my grandma, she's been a huge mentor to me throughout my entire life. She is super positive and her outlook on life is just so inspiring. One of her favorite sayings is, "My feet hit the ground today, so it's a good day." Can only go up from here, basically, is what she always says. I'm like, that's a good outlook to have. So I've tried to always aspire to have that same mindset.
Great words of advice. And thank you for sharing on both fronts. I know personal relationships can have such a major impact on all of us. And again, the way that you explain both of those, I do not know your dad. I don't know your grandma, but the way that you explain them, it's very clear that those lessons are something that you've carried forward. And I know a lot of folks that engage with you, I think, are also starting to carry on those characteristics. So very cool to see that go from a point of education all the way through to like how you practically live your life. All right, so let's transition a little bit. We get to know Jess at home, growing up, some of your mentors in your life. When you made the decision to join KORTX, I know you had been in a career, you started with MLive, I believe, and then you went to CDK, and then you finally came over to KORTX. Can you reflect back on that? Like, what stood out about us and the opportunity and ultimately influenced your decision to join our team?
So when I first joined KORTX, I think there were about 10 or 11 employees. So as you said, I was working at a large corporation. I was working at CDK. So CDK, what a big corporation, you come in, you clock in, you clock out, you got the same thing you do every single day. Like you're kind of a cog in a wheel, so to speak. So when I was reached out to by a recruiter for KORTX, I was very hesitant, not gonna lie, Chris, a little hesitant. Just startup, like what I've never, like, I hadn't heard of the company at the time. So like, do I take this chance? Once I met with Damon and Eric, the decision became easy. Hearing your guys' visions, your goals for the company, it really became something that I wanted to be a part of. And that journey that you guys had for the goals you wanted to achieve, I wanted to be a part of that journey. So it really did make the decision easy after I started to get to know you guys.
I didn't know that story. I appreciate you sharing that. And when you think about, see, now, you're just over 6 years, you, Jess, have been influential on shaping our customer experience. And a lot of that is not just the way that we engage with folks, our processes, our SLAs. You're also really involved with our product development, working with our engineers, our analytics folks to make sure that everything that we're doing is either serving an internal stakeholder, whether that be account management or strategy or sales, or to an end customer, which are our agency and brand partners. When you reflect back on the last 6 years, I know there's been a lot of projects along the way. Are there any of those that you're particularly proud of?
Yeah, you kind of hit on one of them. I mean, just helping shape the way we build a story around data. That's like seeing that come to fruition through Kampus is so cool. I think that's, the way I look at it, like one might see metrics, I see a consumer journey, and being able to, like, what I'm particularly proud of is seeing that come to fruition, like through any of our dashboards or any of our collateral, has been really cool. Also, like for other things I've been kind of proud of regarding, like, just, my impact on KORTX is even just streamlining processes. I'm a detail-oriented person by nature, which I know, Chris, you're very well aware of. But like having like a rigorous, detailed workflow helps make everything streamlined, and it allows for things not to fall through the cracks. Those are 2 things I'm pretty proud of with coming from the journey with KORTX.
And I know you are very big on, you push your team to think about numbers in a bit of a different way. And there's been conversations internally a lot of times that, like, a dashboard is a dashboard. Everybody has a dashboard. Everybody has an automated report. There's metrics that are there that any human can read and mostly understand what that means. Mind just sharing like some of the guidance that you give to your team when you're talking about leveraging data to tell a story and help a customer understand like what's going on with their campaign?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like you said, anyone can say our campaign attributed X number of conversions, but where do we take it a step further? And that's where the elements of the consumer journey come into effect. So yes, we're looking at spreadsheets all day, but then we take those spreadsheets and turn them into visuals, turn them into graphs, turn them into, visuals are so key, at least for me, because it helps explain like how that conversion came to fruition. Was it what where they served the ad on desktop, but then they converted on mobile, or vice versa? Like being able to tell that story is huge. And I think that what we're doing with Kampus and what we're doing with our any of our collateral is a big differentiator in the marketplace right now.
We've gone into new markets. We've gone into very competitive markets at times when people don't know who we are and we have no brand recognition. We're not just a name that they're going to say, oh yeah, I've heard of that company before because of sales and marketing collateral or because of reviews. First and foremost, that we've had to go in and really prove ourselves, which oftentimes means taking very difficult campaigns. Are there any of those that stick out? Any, really challenging situations that we've been in, possibly an existing customer that we've taken from a spot where we had to come into a competitive situation and now they trust us as a long-term partner? Anything come to mind?
Oh, so many. I mean, so many of our current tenured partnerships that we've had, they all kind of started out like that. Getting more like, I think it's the trust factor first and foremost. You build that trust, being transparent. Everything that we do, we're super transparent with. We have everything that pulls from the campus. All the data is right there at your fingertips in real time. So we're not like hiding anything. That's key. Telling a story with that data, giving a client insights. Going back to just developing a partnership with any client, you really have to be open and honest with them at the same time, and being educational too, all at once. Just because this client has been, or this advertiser has been doing the same thing for years and it's been working for years, doesn't mean that has to stay like that. It's not even just internally for KORTX, but it's externally for our clients too, and kind of challenging them in a way. Because I feel like we'll take a campaign, we'll help execute it, of course, but then challenge the client and ask them, like, is what we are doing and what you want to do with this campaign achieving the end marketing goal at the end of the day? And if we can't say yes, then let's have a discussion around how we could build upon that and actually achieve those goals. And I think that's where we really stand out and become a true partner.
So it sounds like really understanding their business, being a part of their team, and putting ourselves in their seat a lot of times.
Yep.
Almost thinking like what keeps them up at night in their 9 to 5 when they're sitting there talking to their boss about how a marketing plan is impacting sales or leads or whatever their business objective is. I'm also curious, our industry moves so quick and a new bell and whistle comes out every day. 2-part question. How do you help our customers understand what's going on and what it means for them? And then you personally, how do you stay on top of it? Like, do you have an approach in terms of like prioritizing news and kind of keeping yourself up on current trends?
So like I follow different things on LinkedIn about like industry trends, industry changes. If it's relevant to one of the clients I'm currently working with, I might just share it with them in the next email that I send, bring it to the forefront there. But then also like something else, like like not just industry trends when it comes to digital marketing, staying on top of that, but I always kind of push my team to stay on top of, this is just top of mind right now, but economic factors too, and how economic factors can affect performance and can affect outcomes. Just because there's an interesting trend doesn't mean it was due to the marketing. Just because we saw a downward trend doesn't mean that the marketing's not working. There could be other factors at play. So when we're looking at industry trends, we're taking into account economic trends too, and how those are affecting any performance outcomes when it comes to a digital marketing campaign.
That's really interesting. Do you think that your prior experience, I know MLive is is a regional or more of a local media group. CDK, I know you were working with a lot of local dealerships. Do you feel that those experiences helped you start to frame that point of view? Was like that essentially a requirement that you came up with to be successful in those situations?
Yes, 100%. Especially working in automotive, you really got to see consumer behaviors go with the flow of the economic trends. In my experience, working at MLive or working at CDK, in those different verticals helped kind of shape that thought process.
And I think, Jess, that was something that you've really brought into the mix here and you've challenged us with and also helped us just think a little bit differently about it. We've never been in a spot where we are gathering large national buys that are about just eyeballs. For a lot of our customers, it's in a spot of, if they're spending dollars with us, it can't just be a cost center. Marketing has to be a way to enhance their business, which means, doubling down on sales or tripling down on foot traffic. It has to be a mover for their business. And being able to tell that story in situations when it's good or bad, campaign's not performing well, first thing a lot of people want to think about is like, well, is it the creative? Is it the landing page experience? Is it the targeting? It's all the great things that we can tweak in the world of programmatic advertising. But you're right. I think a lot of times it's being more intentional with clearly articulating there are macro factors that are going on right now that are also playing a big piece in this. And benchmarks from a year ago are not the same as today.
Even benchmarks for one client or one advertiser are different than benchmarks for the other. They might be in the same vertical, but there are too many factors at play. There's the people you're targeting, the geos, your offering, your site, how it's built, and the development team on that side. Like, those are all factors taken into consideration when it comes to looking at benchmarks as a whole.
Good advice. This sounds like stuff that I know that you're coaching our team on. We can transition a little bit. I want to focus more about your role as a manager. And you coming into the company, you were a team of one. Your team of one has now grown pretty significantly. When you think about managing a team and all the challenges that can be presented, especially in a remote work environment, I know we're in a bit of a hybrid situation now, but again, when you think about your experience as a manager, what have you learned and how have you adapted to some of those things that are going on?
Technology plays a big part. I think anything with technology enhancements, they've allowed us to be more connected today than we were in the past. I look at Slack, for example. You could jump into a huddle. I feel like it's the equivalent of walking over to someone's cubicle. But also, from some of the adjustments that I've just made personally as a manager is just having more frequent meetings, not bombarding our calendars with a bunch of meetings, but making sure that we're syncing a couple times a week. We're working together to work through any roadblocks that we're running into as a team. And then when we do meet in person, capitalizing on that face-to-face time when we are together, getting the whole team lunch, buying everyone coffee, doing workshops, offsite workshops, even though we're all in the office, maybe going even offsite just to make it a little bit different, change things up a little bit, just to make sure no one feels like they're on an island when they are working remote full time.
And in those workshop sessions, is that more of trying to come up with common issues that we're facing and we're trying to solve through it, or is it literally just spending time together and having a normal day and just being there to bounce ideas off one another?
It's a combination of both. We'll put together any sort of roadblocks that we're running into, but looking through how can we improve any sort of processes? How can we improve and make things more efficient? That's what a lot of those workshops are about as well.
You talked about Kampus, you talked about reporting. I know that is one area that you are dialed in on in terms of creating efficiencies for your team. What else is kind of top of mind? Are there 2 or 3 other things that you all do pretty frequently that you're trying to be better with?
Always trying to improve our storytelling capabilities, keeping an eye on any new interesting trends that we could pull. Anything when it comes to first party audience insights, those are always things I'm always looking to refine as well, because I think your first party data is so valuable. It's who your current customers are today, and being able to continue to kind of expand on that to help from a targeting strategy perspective is crucial.
Cool. So to the team here, you're coaching them on a daily basis. I know you are actively involved as well with our education of internal employees, cross training, all those types of things. When you think about others though, maybe a college student right now or someone who is just new to the industry, what type of advice would you give for someone that's considering a career in account management or client services?
Well, when it comes to account management, you learn a lot. It's a role that requires you to be a very dynamic person. You could tackle pretty much anything, especially even at KORTX, from driving strategy, doing data analysis, formulating a story around that data, but to even QAing code on a site to make sure a pixel is firing properly. You get insight to so much of the digital marketing ecosystem that it can be overwhelming at times, but it's worth it, and you learn a lot. My advice is to always be willing to learn and accept the change that comes with the industry as well. Don't just be stagnant, basically.
It's great words of wisdom. And for anybody watching, I know Jess loves to loves to share, loves to help out. So find her on LinkedIn, send her a message. I'm sure she would happy to give any guidance or any support that she can. Jess, we'll get you out of here. We've got two different questions about empowering transformative growth. The first one I want to tie to specific to reporting and thinking about Kampus and what that customer service center is meant to be. In a world where customer satisfaction is so important and is always being evaluated, how do you feel that those reporting enhancements are really going to be designed to ensure those client expectations are met? Especially as we had a conversation here about moving past vanity metrics. Like what does Kampus do for customers?
I think Kampus, it helps showcase that consumer journey. I know it's kind of been the theme here, but it really does help showcase that consumer journey. Vanity metrics don't really give you the consumer journey. All they give you is, not hating on them, but all they give you is, you know, the rate at which someone clicked your ad, the rate at which someone viewed your ad, but what did they do downstream? Did they make it to the site? Did they complete that action? That's key. And how long did it take them to complete that action? Anyone can say our campaign attributed X number of conversions, but where we take it a step further is those elements of the consumer journey. And with Kampus, those are questions that we can answer. And it's not only just about the vanity metrics like we were talking about earlier, it's also about the different insights we could pull about the first party audiences that are being pulled to the full front within Kampus.
Nice. And my last question for you, you think about our vision of empowering transformative growth. We talk about that for our employees, our customers, our different stakeholders, the communities that we operate in. When you think about that term though, to you personally, what does that mean?
It's funny, it's kind of like the definition of it, but embracing change, really. Be willing to learn new things, view a challenge as an opportunity to grow both personally and professionally. I feel like in order to actually see transformative growth, you have to embrace the change that comes with it.
Awesome. Jess, we really appreciate you joining us today. It was great to hear your perspective on KORTX, the industry, talking about managing your team, as well as your personal background. Hopefully you get a chance to get back on the basketball court soon, maybe play a musical instrument, possibly as the kids get older. I think you may be able to share those talents with them.
Hopefully, one day.
And to everybody for tuning in, thank you for joining us for another enlightening conversation, our Empowering Transformative Growth series. We hope you've gained valuable insights and a deeper understanding of what makes KORTX a unique and vibrant place to work and grow. If you enjoyed this episode, check out the rest of our series to hear more inspiring stories from our team. And until next time, take care and continuing empowering transformative growth in all you do. Goodbye.